Before we get started, this will be my last chance to tell you guys that in a couple days, the giveaway I have on my Instagram page will end at the end of day, June 1st. Basically, one person is going to go away with one of these extra Deadshots that's going to be reviewed in this video, as well as the other prizes you see. That's right. One person's going away with all of this stuff. If you haven't yet, take a look down at the description below and see the post there where you follow the rules there if you haven't entered yet. Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the pretty much brand new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse McFarlane Collector Edition version of Deadshot, which I believe this is the first time I've gotten a collector edition of a figure. And this Deadshot here, at first I wasn't really planning on getting it, but I was able to snag a pre-order a while ago on Big Bad Toy Store. And from what I've heard, this is actually a pretty good one. I've only seen it in the wild a couple of times. This seems to be a little bit of a hard one to get, not to mention the chase variant apparently there is. But, you know, I decided this line is kind of ending soon, and this did look like a good one. So I decided, let's just go ahead and take a look and see if it is worth the price. It's like 30 bucks. That is quite pricey. Anyway, figure in the box here. It is a bit standard. You know, I mean, there's that huge silver coated McFarlane Collector Edition. I kind of botched just saying that. Lettering there. It also says Deadshot. You see the figure in the box with all the contents there, and you have that pretty standard white and blue type of paneling, or, you know, those panels basically that are going on the packaging. It's just going to say DC Multiverse right there, and it still, again, has that silver foil with blue lettering, Deadshot. Number 35. Is that number 35 out of every collector edition they made? That's interesting. The top there says 22 moving parts, as well as McFarlane Toys logo. And this here, if I try not to destroy my review station, basically, this does say McFarlane Collector Edition Deadshot DC Classic. And it is quite classic. Very classic outfit here, and very classic artwork. Looking very cool. And it does say, you know, the lights make it hard to see, but it does say Deadshot DC Classic, as well as McFarlane Toys, I believe. Yeah, so I'm just actually going to take an image right here of the barcode, because it is going to be pretty hard for me to show you guys right in the viewfinder right now. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. And here's the figure out of the packaging. You know, there's a lot I like about this, and then there are some things that I'm not particularly fond of. I don't really know if I would say typical McFarlane stuff, or it's just stuff unique to this. But at the end of the day, it is quite a solid figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So I'm going to start off by actually showing how to put in these little arm cannon pieces. And now, looking online, because it doesn't really show it off that well on the box art, I believe this little part right here that extends is what should be going down if it's like on the forearm there. So basically, if he's shooting out like this with his forearm facing upward, that should be facing out, that part there. And then you have it also on this one, and then you get to see how these pegs work. I'm doing this now because I'm only going to show off some quick images of what the other ones look like in the arms, because I don't really want to, you know, have to do a whole bunch of photos at the end, and also try not to show them off one by one later on. So that's how those look. And then I do want to show off these ones here, which look quite nice. You have three types: the ones that aren't fired at all, the ones that have bullet effects basically sculpted in there, and then the ones with the smoke that we'll talk about in a second. That paint, oh boy, that is sloppy. Oh boy. Like, I know that these are pretty hard surface levels to get, but I mean, spade's a spade. That's sloppy. Not too bad though. I'm thinking you shouldn't be able to see it too much when it's on there. Maybe if you're looking on the outside, I guess. And then we do have actually some nice variation of color in the firing effect, because you have this like almost white yellow going on here, and then you have this cloudy orange or red that does look quite good. So here is a quick image of what these look like if you have them ported into the arms there. So you have this figure in a firing pose which I think is really cool. Then you have these ones here, very similar sculpts to the ones I just showed off a second ago. And something, I'll talk about it more, in the actual detail portion, but these things are all pretty much sculpted the exact same and all look really good, but there is messiness going on again in these vents. Again, I said it already, hard surface level to get. Still quite messy. Not looking too bad. This like bluish white, almost like a blue milk type of plastic going on here, which is on the figure, and we'll talk about that in a second again. These look really good. Again, you have nice variation of this like black or gray with this orange and red, and then this very bright muted yellow going on there. And I think that is just super sick. Now we do have gripping hands, and these are meant for holding weapons. I might have a little bit of trouble looking for weapons right now. Also, I haven't actually tried putting weapons in to the hands yet, so you'll get to see a note on screen if I am properly doing this at all, and if this can actually hold some weapons. But the bottom line here is that we do have extra hands. It does come packaged with fists, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But these are just molded and painted. I shouldn't say molded. They're definitely painted in this yellow. It could be molded in some way, but I feel like it actually, I'm looking in here, it's almost looking kind of greenish when you look in there. So I'm not exactly sure what the color molded here is. But it's mostly just a painted, bright, almost mustard yellow going on there. And then I do want to show off these pointing fingers because they're actually quite nice. You can have one hand, pretty much the right hand, touching the visor piece on the right eye. And then you can have another one that's basically a normal pointing finger. And the detail on the hands here do look quite nice. I feel like these hands look a little big. I feel like they've made the fingers look a little too big when they're clenching in. But I could be wrong about that, and they probably look normal. But they still look quite nice. I'm really digging. So this actually does come with a lot of accessories, more so than a lot of other McFarlane Toys figures do. It is $30, so I guess it's worth it that much with all those accessories. The other McFarlane Toys figures come with a decent amount of stuff already, but we do get a full set of stuff here, and I really dig that. Forgot to show off what stuff is in the box that I really don't want to take off of the inside of the packaging right now, which is this collectible card here, which is just the box art from the back on this card. Still looking pretty nice. And then this base here is a pretty standard McFarlane Toys base, but instead of just being like printed in black DC logo there, it is silver painted, which is quite nice. Now, I don't know if I really need to get new lights or if I'm just crazy, but I feel like it's hard to capture proper lighting for this particular figure. Some people might think that the color temperature is off and that this looks a little blue, but that's how it looks in the figure. And I think that is decently accurate. I feel like it's supposed to be more of a pure white in the past, but I could be wrong about that. But this thing just looks absolutely awesome. I really dig this like skin tight type of face going on here, this head sculpt. Really nicely printed crosshair. And that is, I'm gonna feel that, I believe it is, even just a little bit, actually sculpted with a black line painted through. Very clean. That one, whited out eye is quite nice. It actually looks like a person's face under here because the ears are protruding, scrunching, nose and mouth are starting to protrude a little bit. It does get a little messy with this more pure white type of paint on the bluish type of white. And it's actually not that easy to see, but there is some splotching going on. The rest of the head sculpt here, there is this like nice wrinkle all the way around the back here. And then you have these line segments that are pretty much sculpted all the way down through the chest going on there. This little crosshair logo on his chest has some red, so that is not to my liking. And then this blue, so like this is definitely a painted red, and they didn't get all the way up here. They definitely didn't. Like, it's better on this side compared to this side, though. And yes, it is, I just am now noticing it, but I mean, that is quite distracting. The yellow lines are actually really clean. This is a very small area. It's actually protruded plastic, or sculpt, I should say, all the way here. So I'm digging that. Now, the thing is with the red is that almost everywhere there's glossy red, and then the knees have a little bit of a matte finish. I think the elbows too. The arms have a gloss, and then the entire torso is painted red. And then these little, whatever these are, shell pieces, basically, they're glossier. So you get some different texturing, basically, of glossy and matte in the red. I think it's all actually quite consistent, but you know, you're really gonna pick it up with certain lighting like this. And I don't think that's too bad. It's just something I thought I'd mention. Really nice musculature sculpted all the way around, especially in the back area. You don't get much of that musculature except some of the anatomy sticking out, like, you know, his back of his, just these back sections right here, I guess. And you have a little bit of abs sculpted, but that's definitely more fabric type sculpting going on here. And this is a little bit because it has a little bit of scrunching. But the nice line detailing going all the way down. Now we look at the arms here. I feel like these silhouettes of these bodies are reused, and I could definitely be wrong because I just can't really point. I feel like I've held this figure before, but I can't point down exactly. So, you know, they wouldn't be the first to reuse body molds. I'll give you that. I do think that nice detailing all the way around to the arm there is quite nice with this texturing. I actually don't think they did the yellow armband going around with that paint very bad either. I think it could be a little bit better if you look hard enough, but again, you'd have to look pretty hard. Then you get down to, I think this is a separate piece, or maybe this is a completely painted. No, I think this is separate plastic from this, so, because that is definitely molded in a bluish white. And then these are the more default style arm blasters. Actually, the vents aren't too nasty looking on this one. I don't know if I've left any kind of note on the screen or anything, but these are prone to falling off. All of them are prone to falling off, so just be careful. I feel like these fists look more like gloves than the other ones, maybe because of the line detailing going on here. I could not tell you if those other hands were reused or they're brand new for this, so keep that in mind. And yeah, these fists are actually quite good. I'm looking at the other side of the arm here. Those vents, again, could be perfect. It kind of looks like someone took a ballpoint pen and just started coloring in. I'm not going to lie. I don't mean to be rude, but it's just kind of how it looks. But it's a little bit messy. A for effort, I would say. Then you do have, again, a crosshair logo down here. I forgot to mention the black right here in this crosshair. It doesn't look too bad. But again, that red is really distracting. I'm going to try to take that off. I think there's a little bit of splotching where like some of the yellow is missing where there should be. Crosshair logo, quite good. And then these, well, actually this whole belt around the waist here, and is the, yeah, this is separate from the soft plastic diaper. This here, whatever this is, maybe like some type of ammo canister or something. I don't exactly remember. This is a pretty soft plastic, so keep that in mind. It's molded in this bluish white, and then you have a little bit of the what people like to call the diaper, but I have to look at this area, so it's a little sus, but actual like stretching in the fabric is actually kind of nice, not gonna lie. Then it's really just a muscle type of sculpting all the way down here in the thighs. You do have a little bit of detailing on the outer leg here with these like line segments. It's not continued on these little circular pieces on the joints, but they do have it continued on the knee part right there, which I think is a very cool touch. Not much going on the inside of the thighs and the shins and all that. It's just a smooth area that does have a little bit of musculature. Same thing as the back. Yellow boots are quite good looking, quite glossy with these line segments. And then the white, I would say, is actually quite clean. Albeit, you know, if you move this around a little bit, it's going to break it up, of course. I do think it's pretty centered. This is maybe starting to go this way a little bit. These are kind of curving in an area to where it's almost looked like the shin area is bow-legged, but I could be wrong. So maybe there's just some kind of weird illusion going on. It's really nothing too big. They definitely continued this paint. Like, look at that. It stops pretty far. It stops to the point where it stops becoming natural to bend it. So, I mean, that is still pretty cool.
And then you do have the bottom of the feet going on right here. So, and then actually I want to mention, you know, they used to have really distracting ball joints in the ankle and arm sections, but it seems like they learned the lesson for figures like I think Nightfall Batman, a few others similar to it. These look quite fitting, and they really blend in with the sculpt of these areas. So yeah, aesthetically this thing is just super clean. Articulation is quite good. It's been a while since I've held a McFarlane figure or bought one, really, so this should be standard articulation to where I think we have a dumbbell joint, so it goes up like that, and could be a little bit better going down. Side to side isn't too bad, and then you do get this rotation, so pretty good, pretty decent range of motion going on here, I think. I have never liked how these weird butterfly joint sections look. They just look like shell pieces or whatever. I don't really know. I don't really like them. The arms do go all the way around here. They do allow for, and they really don't allow for that much butterfly joint. You know, the arms go all the way out like that. This arm is really loose, and I'm really not hitting it this hard to do it like that. It should not do a full 360 with one strike, even if I'm moderately hitting it hard. So that's kind of wild. You have an upper arm swivel going on here. I'm trying to get it in focus. Double jointed elbow, and you do have hinge of the wrist, swivel here, and then swivel at the actual hand, so you can make it go in and out or up and down. We do have a ball joint here. It actually can rotate because this is decently a soft. Actually, it's pretty hard plastic, but it still rotates. You can go side to side, forward and back. It's actually really good just at that upper section. Then you have a swivel here, side to side, forward and back. So that's the combined range of motion. Back and actually forward seems like it's kind of limited, but side to side swiveling is quite good actually. These are softer plastic, so I feel like they'll tear, but it allows for the hips to go out like this, and then you have, you can kind of go back. There is a thigh swivel built in here. I just wish just one cut. Come on, man, just give it one cut. I mean, I don't know. Upper thigh swivel is slightly in there. And then you do have, actually I didn't show off the splits, I feel like, so there's that. They do have a double jointed knee. Yeah, so swivel here, down, up, and you get an ankle rocker, and then you do have a toe hinge. Measuring out this figure, we're getting really close to 18 centimeters tall there. So that's going to put this around the 7 1/4 inches tall range. Blast from the past with the Mattel DC Universe Classics Deadshot there. Definitely going to be shorter, but they both are actually quite good. On the left there, that is the Nightfall Batman, which actually looks a little bit taller. Left and right, we have a standard size Marvel Spider-Man, standard size Black Series Mando, definitely going to be shorter. Overall, this is another really good McFarlane action figure that I have here, but you'll kind of notice how many of them I do get compared to the ones I don't get. When it comes to ones completely released, I just don't pick those up very often because I just don't think a lot of them look good. This one here looked good, is good, has some weird things about it, like a little bit of inconsistency in like the texturing and paint, a little bit of sloppiness, a couple of loose joints, but these accessories that this comes with all the different types of arm gun barrels and all that, as well as the different hands, the fact that you can still use weapons with this particular figure, and for the most part has really good articulation and really nice detail and sculpt too. Very nicely done figure. Some people are going to be sad that this line is going to be ending sometime next year. I don't have my thoughts together about that yet, but this one here is really good. I do think it's actually worth the $30 if you can try to find it. This one's a little bit harder to find, and I've already said it, but the variant, you know, that limited whatever, is definitely going to be much harder, but try to take a look online. I think I've seen them at like GameStops and even Best Buy. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store, but they're not there anymore. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, where I also have a giveaway where you can earn an extra one of these still. And I'll see you guys later.